Hello everyone, a very good morning to you and welcome to Finale Mondiali Mugello and Finale Mondiali qualifying for our Coppa Shell AM drivers that will take place on this 5.245 kilometer Mugello circuit where and I'm crossing both sets of fingers here, we have blue skies and you can see that the sun is shining. That has not been the case for a lot of our period of time here in this wonderful Finale Mondiali event for 2023. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races. We are here, and with the championships all done and dusted right across our regions, it is time now for every driver to focus on the Finale Mondiali race, which will take place tomorrow. Air temperature is currently 18 degrees, track temperature 13 degrees. There's around about 4 kilometers per hour of tiny little breaths of wind, and I can assure you that the pit lane is packed, and there you can see it. And right center screen right now is the green car, which has the number 105. It's the Corse Motor Shiba driver Motohiko Isosaki, who is the Shell AM European champion. There you can see the paddock, and it becomes like a small town when Ferrari roll into town for a Finale Mondiali celebration. And celebrating it down in the pit lane and doing a fine job for us now. You can see champing at the bit, ready to get going as we can see her center screen alongside the Kirk Beervold car. Here's Ludovica. Good morning.
Good morning, guys, and welcome for this first qualifying session of Coppa Shell. Today is a very stake. Yesterday, Motohiko Isozaki was crowned champion. There, as you can see, all the cars are settled up to start this beautiful and very important day. The focus for every drivers is the best lap for the best qualification for tomorrow for Finale Mondiali. We will be the poleman of this morning. We will find out together very soon.
Thank you very much, Ludovica. Of course, all the drivers anticipating and gunning to go into the Super Pole competition, which we have a little bit later on today, which, in fact, will give us the pole positions as we look at the 140 car of Pino Frascaro, the Kessel racing driver. And it's all smiles down there in the pit lane. And, yes, we have some 24 Shell AM cars from across the regions that will be going out to contest this qualifying. For the first time this elongated Finale Mondiali period, delighted to welcome my partner in crime alongside me, Nico Spalak. How does this work then?
Yeah, we don't know. No, absolutely we know. As you said, this is qualifying for everybody, but then later on we will get into the Super Pole where the top positions are going to be determined. So for now it is about getting the best position.
Yes.
And making it to that final session, and then for whoever is going to be on pole in class, that's only going to be decided this afternoon.
Indeed so, this afternoon. And just to remind you that this is the Shell AM category, and what we have is drivers from all of our regions all put together, as indeed will be the case when it comes to the Finale Mondiali. Given to understand that Ludovica is down there, I think, with our champion for Shell AM, that's Motohiko Isosaki.
Yes, we are here with Motohiko. Good morning, Motohiko. Are you ready for today? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You are a champion.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a pride.
Okay.
So, for team, for everybody's, everything I take. I like pole position. Pole position, only this.
Pole position is the
believe.
focus for today, for Motohiko. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Motohiko. Back to you.
Thank you.
He's a lovely gentleman, it has to be said. And he's had a stunning season. Big shout out to Kirk Beervold, who has chased him. And in fact, earlier on in the season across Europe, he was leading the championship. And then some disaster befell, to be fair. And Motohiko Isosaki was able to take advantage of that and has not looked back, honestly. And he has been crowned the Shell Europe champion in the AM category. Did that in the racing here. In fact, it was the only it was the last championship to be decided. And there you can see Tommy Lindroth, who I was with Tommy Lindroth and his driver coach Fabian Volvend as they were enjoying breakfast, and it was a very healthy breakfast for Tommy Lindroth of green tea and a small omelette.
Well, there you go. And on the topic of there we go, it is 25 minutes in this qualifying session for Shell-Am, and the first 22 seconds, 25 seconds, whatever, of this qualifying session have elapsed already.
Extraordinarily, Masaru Yonedo we could see there going through turn number 1 as we see the rest of the cars coming out of the pit lane, including Bruce Cleveland, who was very, very successful yesterday. Bruce Cleveland, a North American racer. Jeffrey Nunberg, also very successful yesterday, a Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver. To give you as much help as possible, there you can see the color codes that we'll be bringing you during this qualifying session. The Europe drivers are red, the North American drivers are blue, and they're all making their way out onto the track now for dry running. Our fingers and toes and everything else across that it's going to stay that way. I know from a meteorological point of view, Nico, that you've been studying the weather radar. I think it's predicted to be for the next 23 3/4 minutes dry, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't expect any interference from precipitation across today. It's going to be a different story probably tomorrow. Weather has been quite unreliable, or actually it's been pretty reliable in that if it's been dry for 45 minutes, you can guarantee that it's going to start raining again. And we had some torrid weather, especially in qualifying on Wednesday when you had to go it alone, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it's been very, very wet throughout this week, and that means the drivers have very, very little recent experience of this track in the dry.
Absolutely.
And that certainly is potentially going to affect those who have very little previous track experience here in Mugello. Obviously, the European ones more likely to have done more laps on this circuit, but you know, you never know.
Shell-Am champion, forgive me interrupting you, in North America. Been an absolutely epic season for Lisa Clark, and I'm given to understand that Ludovica has chased down Lisa Clark, which is, and she's in the pit lane ready to go out, quali.
Thank you guys. From Ferrari Challenge Europe to Ferrari Challenge of North America with Lisa Clark. Good morning, Lisa. I want to discover with you, what are your feelings for this qualifying session?
Well, we're going to wait a little bit to go out and just kind of play it by ear there at that point and hopefully get a good lap in to get in the Super Pole. That's the plan. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Back to you.
Lisa has done a lot of racing this year, of course, contested the North American season and also some of the races in Europe as well. She is a phenomenal racing driver, and I have to say richly deserves the title in North America. So well done to Lisa Clark. And there we can see Paolo Scudieri going in towards turn number 1. Let's split the shot here so you can see exactly the inputs from Paolo Scudieri inside the car and how that's affecting how the car looks on the bigger screen as he makes his way through turn 1 and into turn 2 now on this Mugello circuit. So Paolo Scudieri for Samoka, and we're running the clock on him. So a number of drivers going through to the Super Pole shootout, which I have to say I'm a big fan of that, Nico, because from a showbiz entertainment point of view, it drives the drama. And yeah, I've always been a fan of that, and therefore I'm glad it's been adopted this year by Ferrari Challenge and those in the powers that be offices.
Yeah, absolutely, because you are witnessing a absolute first. In the past, the grid for the World Final races was determined by qualifying sessions for the respective regions. Now, this year, we for the very first time have a full day dedicated to setting the grid for the World Finals tomorrow. As we said, we have the 3 quali sessions for Shell-Am, for Shell, and then for Trofeo Pirelli in the morning, and then we have the Super Pole session. 3 sessions of 10 minutes each for the 3 categories, if you will. And those will determine who will be where in the 3 races, which will be tomorrow morning.
Yes, I love the short, sharp nature of it when it comes to the Super Pole, so look forward to bringing you that this afternoon. You're very welcome. We are at the Finale Mondiale event here in Mugello with Ferrari, celebrating everything that's great and good about this brilliant brand and the fantastic Ferrari Challenge with drivers here from right across the regions where we race in the Ferrari Challenge. It is the most hugely successful one-make series. And it's not only that, because of course we also have here the laboratory cars, the XX programs, the F1 Clienti cars as well, all the official Competizione GT cars, and all the drivers as well, many of whom have made cameo appearances on air during the course of our days here. including the likes of James Collado and Niklas Nielsen and Tony Verlander, and it's been an absolute cast of superstars that have graced the airwaves, and now Nico's here as well to add to that list of celebrities that join us on the air, and I'm just trying to support the best way I can, which is probably ill-fitting for them.
Just salvage that, because I thought, and accurately, you were talking about all the stars, and then there is me. Well, happy to be on the air with you as we have a first look at our timing screen as Kirk Berwald, as you said, runner-up in Coppa Shell in Europe. He is going very, very quickly, 4.8 seconds the split time, which means he is launching an attack on the top time, which is currently set by Baby K, Paolo Scudieri, Bruce Cleveland and Henrik Kamstrup, our top four for the time being. There is traffic, and Kirk Berwald goes past the man who defeated him for the season in Europe. Not going through a quick lap is Motohiko Isozaki. Kirk Berwald is, and there you can see him going through that final turn. It takes forever. It cambers to the outside. You have to keep it on the inside, have to have maximum speed coming out of the turn, because it's a very, very long straight, which culminates with the timing line, a 1:57.0, 6.9 seconds quicker than the previous one. So I think that we can consider our very first relevant time in this quali session with 18 minutes and 10 seconds remaining.
I agree with you. And for someone like Kirk Berwald, as we watch Paolo Scudieri now with purple sectors through Sector 1 and Sector 2, he's going to make it purple through Sector 3 and therefore go fastest of everyone. Let's see as he crosses the timing line right now. Indeed he does, 1:55.907. I was just going to say, for Kirk Berwald, having become runner-up in the Coppa Shell Am Championship, of course, he, dare I say it, with even more focus on the Finale Mondiali race, the world final race, because that's what he can salvage out of the season. I mean, you know, I don't want to do a disservice to him, because he's done a brilliant job to finish P2 in a hugely competitive year. And of course, he would love to be able to take that world final race and feel that he has at least taken a title away from the 2023 year. This is Martinus Richter, Mertel Motorsport. Martinus has been very, very successful. He hasn't played a full campaign in the Ferrari Challenge this year, which I think is a great shame, because he would have been a contender. There's no question about that, because whenever he has raced, if he has avoided bad luck, of which he has had some, he has been hugely successful. The Nuremberg resident from Germany, Martinus Richter, driving for Mertel Motorsport. The order at the moment is Paolo Scudieri from Henrik Kamstrup from Kirk Berwald, and then it's Tommy Lindroth, who is running in P4. But here comes, dare I say it, potential for a new provisional P1 in this session, and it will come from Martinus Richter, who's targeting the 1:55.907 as he's about to break the timing beam. He's done it for sure, a 1:53.778. So, as is often the case in the early stages of qualifying, we see relatively big chunks of time coming out. They will minimize as the session goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we already established, this time it's not about necessarily where you rank at the very, very sharp end of this timing screen, because there is a super pole, so it only means to get through to that session. But obviously, the higher up you are and the earlier you can put that key banker in, that immunizes you kind of from the disasters that are red flags and other things that bring the session to a close or to a halt, and which can really, really upset your strategy as we go on board through turn 1. And there you can see how we are climbing. Paolo Scudieri, that first chicane in that first sector, left-hander, right-hander, that is the end of the first sector, and we can see the split time on our timing screen. Not quite. There is the second chicane. Again, left-hander, right-hander, and then you start going downhill. And it's this Borgo San Lorenzo turn, which cambers also to the outside. And if you're in the car, you feel like you're drawn to the outside, dragged into the grass, dragged into the gravel, but Paolo Scudieri controls it nicely. Good first sector. He's currently in P3, and there is Martinus Richter and Josef Schumacher trying to set a good time, currently already in P4, so that's a good split for the time being. Let's see what that traffic did to his lap time.
So Josef Schumacher, who's been on the podium in this Finale Mondiale event, getting past Dr. Stephen Earle. And Dr. Stephen Earle told me off yesterday. He said, it's just my qualification. My name is Stephen to you, Dave. Lovely, lovely man. And, well, Josef Schumacher, P2, with a 153.778. Which Martinus Richter is Martinus Richter with a 153.778, I beg your pardon. Josef Schumacher with a 154.253. Here comes Motohiko Isozaki then. And he goes P1, proving that you don't need to colour every sector purple. And Martinus Richter's P1 position for the moment has been usurped by Motohiko Isozaki, our new Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Am European Champion P1.
Absolutely. One man to keep an eye on is Stefano Marazzi. He's currently P12, just put in his very first time. He was very, very, very quick across the entire week thus far. And since this is only a one-race dash for cash tomorrow,
yes,
he is certainly one to keep an eye on and have on your radar when you think about who might take the crown tomorrow. Obviously the ones who finished very high up in the overall standings, as Motohiko Isozaki takes a little bit of an unorthodox line through there, not necessarily the quickest on the exit, but keeps it eventually on the track as he goes through Arrabbiata 1 and up the hill, which hill we just walked yesterday at quite brisk speed, not quite the 153.53 that's currently being negotiated by the drivers. Oh, and there is traffic for Motohiko, and I think that really, really ruined his lap in this instance.
Dirk Beervold, ironically, the very man that he's been competing with during the course of the season, and he did. Dirk Beervold became runner-up, and Motohiko Isozaki has realised that he needs to bail that lap now. He'd done a very good sector 1, but with traffic, as Nico so rightly identifies, that means that this lap is all over. You can get the impression that Kirk Beervold is building for the next lap, and Motohiko Isozaki could be quite clever there and just line up behind Kirk Beervold and take advantage of the draft off the back of the car, but he seems to me like he's going to try and go by, and indeed he has. So now any draft opportunity could go the way of Kirk Beervold as he builds up speed now out of the final turn. Heads to the start-finish straight, and let's go and put another lap in here. 12.5 minutes remaining. The order is Motohiko Isozaki, Martinus Richter, Josef Schumacher at the moment. The top 7 drivers are European drivers, and by dint, as Nico said right at the start of our program, by dint of their potential more experience of the Mugello circuit, that means they are besting the North American drivers at the moment. The best of those is Roger Monteforte, P8, Bruce Cleveland, successful yesterday is P2 for the North American drivers, and then Steve Czech, who is P3. That's only P1, 2, and 3 within their regions. It's academic because the regions kind of count for nothing during this. It's whoever is going to be the quickest. And at the moment, the quickest is the car that is center screen. The Cornes Motoshiba driver, that is Motohiko Isozaki, as we look at the Yanbin Liang car. The 169 car, which is yet to give us a really meaningful time from Yancheng Liang, Werner Genter and Lance Corley, 2 drivers that have also not shown yet, and leaving it quite late, if I may say so, with just 11.25 minutes in the session remaining. Tommy Lindroth going for it once again. Tommy is currently P9.
11 minutes remaining, and Tommy Lindroth, first sector. Yeah, not quite where he would have liked it, to be honest. Well, I think because he's now just approaching the timing line, 38.958. Well, it's half a second down, so that's still a personal best and still an option for improvement. And he obviously won't necessarily look for that P1 position, but he's going to try and get into that Super Pole session later on, which is an exclusive club which the drivers try to be a member of, because all the positions from there on out will be set as per this qualifying session, but the top positions will only be determined in that afternoon session for tomorrow. Tommy Lindroth going through the chicane. 9th for the time being, 1:14.277 was half a second down on the previous sectors, lost another 1.5 seconds, and I think that means even though it's a personal best, it's going to be difficult for him to improve too much. He was 4 seconds down on his previous best lap, so there is still a chance for him to get elevated from what is currently now, well, was P10, now back to P9. Probably means that some track limit infringement caused someone who had a quicker lap to lose that instantly again. So Tommy going through the final turn, he is not guilty of any infringements as to track limits as far as we know. So this lap looks like it's going to count a 153.531, not up for debate, but it's an improvement, a 156.383, P7 for the time being.
Well done, Tommy. Turn 4 is the turn where track limits are being something of an issue for some of the drivers. Some of those that have had warnings and lap times taken away include Paolo Scudieri, Masaru Yoneda for Corse Osaka, and also now for Martinus Richter. This is the Bruce Cleveland car for Ferrari Challenge North America. Bruce Cleveland then just adjustments going on to the tyre pressures there to try and give the very, very best performance from that wonderful 488 Challenge Evo car. So Bruce Cleveland, who is the best of the North American drivers at the moment. And Bruce has had a fantastic season, given that he came in and comes into Ferrari Challenge with very little racing experience indeed. And Bruce Cleveland has had a stellar season, in my opinion. Here's Baby K for Corse Osaka with a personal best through Sector 1. He's currently running P12 with a time of 158.402. So hoping to improve on that, and certainly doing so from a personal perspective with personal best through Sector 1 and through Sector 2 as well. Motohiko Isozaki is leading the way at the moment. Two drivers in the 153s. They are Motohiko Isozaki and Martinus Richter. Let's hear more from the pit lane right now. Here's Ludovica.
Yes, here we are with Isozaki's coach for discover more about his start for this morning in this qualifying session.
Look, so far so good. Moto is P1 in Chalam, so in this session what we needed was to be in top 6. He did a pretty good lap, then he got blocked on his second lap, so we just decided to come back in. And now it starts to count in the afternoon for the Super Bowl. So hopefully we stay in the top 6 in the last 7 minutes, and we go for it for Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at the moment in the drop zone are the likes of Tommy Lindroth and Bruce Cleveland, Roger Monteforte. They've all got to find improvements. 6 going through to Super Pole, and at the moment Motohiko Isozaki is right up there. Here is the 107 car, the all-yellow car of Stefano Marazzi on top step of the podium over the course of this Finale Mondiale event. The Rosso Corsa racer, who is currently P15. So some work to be done here. Now the improvements coming through the sectors, as you can see, driving for Rosso Corsa. With a purple sector through Sector 1, personal best through Sector 2. The target is to be into the top 6. It's not necessarily so important to be at the top of the top 6, but as long as you are in there, that means you can go through to the Super Pole a little bit later on today. 10 minutes for the drivers to set and find a pole position. Well, Stefano Marazzi has achieved it. He's got into the top 4. And that means dropping out is Henrik Kamstrup, because he moves down to P7. So it's Motohiko Isozaki, Martinus Richter, Josef Schumacher, Stefano Marazzi, Kirk Beervold, and Paolo Scudieri. Tommy Lindroth here improving as well with a personal best through Sector 1. So here comes Tommy Lindroth, the Gome Baron Motorsport driver, who again has had a fine season. He's a long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge, and he's one of the most one of the biggest characters in the paddock, that's for sure. And Tommy with personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's currently P8. He needs to improve a couple of places as we get a yellow flag at turn 11. Hopefully it's just a localized yellow. And we will see if that develops still further. We've got a red flag. We have a red flag, so the session is brought to a close. The clock is stopped at 5:54. So that would suggest to me that someone is off. We will take a look. Doubtless we will get information in a moment, but the red flag has come out. The driver we think might have gone off is potentially Dana Goodwin. Dana Goodwin as Motohiko Isozaki then. Now this is not brilliant for those drivers that are not in the top 6, because with only 6 minutes of the session remaining, in truth, as we see Philip Barron on the pit wall there, Philippe Barron, who's team boss of Barron Motorsport and former champion. And there we can see the 3-2-1 car. Oh, and yeah, there we can just see the gravel trap. And sure enough, the 169 car going through that gravel trap there. The information we have is that stopped on the track somewhere is Dana Goodwin in the 346 car, so I'm not sure that that was the incident that caused the red flag because the car was back out on the track again, but who knows. We can only bring you the information that we have. At the moment, going through for Super Pole, Motohiko Isasaki, Martinus Richter, Josef Schumacher, Stefano Marazzi, Kirk Beervold and Paolo Scudieri. Now, I would have suggested, Nico, and I'll get your viewpoint on this, that, you know, with just under 6 minutes remaining, that the session should resume because there is enough time for the drivers to go out and do an out lap, do a quick lap, and they might actually even get 2 very good laps in. But with the session suspended, and there we can see confirmation of the reason for that. Sure enough, it is Dana Goodwin that is beached in the gravel. The car has therefore got to be recovered, and that is why we have this suspension. Paolo Scudieri, the team of Samocar, working hard on the car, look, changing the rubber, getting the very best Pirellis on that they can for Paolo Scudieri, who at the moment is, dare I say it, Nico, very, very vulnerable because he's right on the cusp, isn't he? He's P6 at the moment. There is Martinus Richter, who's comfortably in that P2 position, but truthfully, with only 6 going through to Super Pole, even if you're in the top 6, none of those positions are comfortable, I would have suggested.
Yeah, no, I mean, Motohiko Isasaki, he's currently 2.8 seconds quicker than the driver in P6, and even though obviously the track with more rubber laid down and the ambient temperature increasing, certainly the track will get a little bit quicker over time. He would probably be the one who would feel a little bit comfortable, but you know, it can happen very, very quickly, and therefore once you're in a defenseless position, you don't want to be in that position. So they're all going to go out again, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Josef Schumacher has done a good job. He's P3 at the moment, and Ludovica has hunted Mr. J. Schumacher down.
Thank you, guys. Good morning, Josef. You are in the 3rd position in this moment, and I want to discover with you more about the track condition of this morning and your feeling for this qualifying session.
The session was good. Now we have after 2-3 days rain, a very nice track. The time was very fast. I think we have in the 1st position we have a small slot. We push a lot. My team make a good job. And I hope I can have this position to the race, and also for the Super Pole.
Okay, thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Josef Schumacher, super guy. And he is comfortably, I say that with inverted commas, he's comfortably in the Super Pole shootout at the moment, but with just under 6 minutes remaining, and all the cars going to go out again once the car of Dana Goodwin is recovered. There's no telling, to be honest with you. The top 6 currently that we would see in the Super Pole this afternoon are Motohiko Isasaki, Martinus Richter, Josef Schumacher, Stefano Marazzi, Kirk Beervold, and Paolo Scudieri. Those that are champing at the bit are Henrik Hamstrom, Tommy Lindroth, and Bruce Cleveland, and Roger Monteforte. And you can see how keen they are to get out of the pit lane. Oh, there's a bit of camera art for us. Looking at the 201 car through the lenses of some sunglasses, which is the first opportunity we've had. Session is going to restart at 10:30. So just over a minute from now, there's confirmation of that on your screen. And we will go back to it with just under 6 minutes remaining. And there's Jeffrey Nunberg in the 341 car. Jeffrey Nunberg then for Ferrari of Central New Jersey. Had a chat with Jeffrey as he came out of his press conference interview yesterday, having been successful in the race yesterday. And I'd said on the air, I've spent quite some time with Jeffrey Nunberg in his trailer in the States, which could have been misconstrued, and I apologise to Jeffrey. He said, Dave, you've got nothing to worry about, friend. Yes, I've always been made to feel very, very welcome in North America, and Jeffrey Nunberg, hugely successful yesterday. So, everyone, as you can see, very, very keen to get going again because time is going to be something of a premium here. And Kirk Beervold is vulnerable, I would have suggested, at P5, Nico. But he's there at the moment. Now, another fantastic driver coach and hugely successful driver in his own right is Stefano Guy. He's with Ludovica.
Thank you, guys. We are here with Stefano Guy, Paolo Scudieri's coach, for discovering more about this qualifying session?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
We want to discover more about Scudieri's qualifying session. He started very well in this morning.
Yeah, start very well. We are P6, so in this moment we are in the Super Pole, but we use the red flag session with the red flag stop to put another set of tires to try to go directly more safe in Super Pole of this afternoon. Also with the other driver comes through. We are P6 and P7 now. I hope they can improve a little bit the lap time and to go directly to the slot of the Super Pole that is only the first 6 car on track. So we hope.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ludovica. Stefano then telling it exactly as it is. You know, it's his responsibility. But his target is to get his drivers into Super Pole.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw Lisa Clark emerge from the pit lane. She obviously the champion in North America, not well out of position, I would say. She is very much in P14. Only 4th in North America. Now that doesn't count, but you know, being the champion, you would at least expect or hope from her point of view that she would be at the very sharp end of that allocation from North America, which she currently isn't, but we have 4.5 minutes remaining. That probably means you have one out lap, one lap to really get the tires back up to temperature, and then very likely it's only going to be one lap remaining that you can really put the time in. But that gives you a little bit of a comfort in terms of finding track space, finding the right slot on the track to not be interfered with or being interfered with by other traffic. And you can already see none of the drivers are pushing and trying to get up the road very, very quickly, but they sort themselves out, try to make sure that once they go, well, and I say that, and all of a sudden the track shot we have is much more busy, and that included the likes of Baby K, Motohiko Izozaki, and 4 or 5 other drivers, and they were really bunched up. So we'll see what happens in that bunch of drivers as we go through the 3rd sector, looking at the 107 car of Stefano Marazzi. We talked about him as being one of the quickest across the week thus far. He's currently in P4, so in a green position, if you will, but the red positions are not too far behind, so he will certainly go and try to get a further improvement. He's rounding the final turn. I don't think he's quite up to speed for that next lap to be a real good one, or one that will drop at the top 6 times, but we'll find out in just a few minutes. 3 minutes remaining.
Absolutely, 3 minutes remaining. I can see from another one of our camera shots that we have inside our studio here as we look at Stefano Marazzi. Motohiko Izozaki, I don't think he's going to go out again. The reason I'm saying that is because I saw the car up on the jacks and they were putting a set of scrub tyres onto his car. So what they're doing is, you know, they're just preserving the rubber that they have for Super Pole to come a little bit later this afternoon. I don't think Motohiko, he's got, you know, I think you had said it's a clear 1.6 seconds between, well, actually it's 1.669 to the 6th, but to the 7th car, it's a 2.8 second margin that he has. So theoretically, he's safely in that Super Pole shootout, and therefore there's no point in him going out and stressing any rubber further. It's for the likes of Henrik Hamstrup here, as Stefano Guy was saying from Formula Racing. He has got to get up the road because at the moment he's in the drop zone. He's the very first driver in the drop zone, Henrik Hamstrup. Cumulative target is a 1:14.277. He's a second off that with a 1:15.283, but it is personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2, and we know how quick that Henrik Hamstrup can be. All of a sudden, the pressure is mounting on any driver that is beyond those top 6, and we are talking about quite a few drivers.
Absolutely. Henrik Hamstrup, as we heard and as we saw, he is currently P7, so he only theoretically needs to move up 1 position, but with other drivers with attacking and going for quicker sectors, Lisa Clark, who we talked about being one of them, he'll probably, and we can already see he dropped down to P8 by virtue of someone else overtaking, so he improved 1 position, but that still nets him P7 and keeping him in the drop zone. The driver who got past him, trying to make up who that was, quite sure. It doesn't look like a lot changed above him. Stefano Marazzi improved in terms of his last lap time, so he is still in P4, but he improved in terms of time. Martin Richter now with purple sectors. Jeffrey Nürnberg, who you talked about, with very good personal best. Lisa Clark trying to improve, so they are already in the middle of their lap, so they will have another go after this one. for Henrik Kamstrup, this is last chance saloon. When he crosses the timing line, that 44 seconds will have elapsed.
And I can tell you that Motohiko Isozaki is confident in his position. He's actually getting out of the car. Here's another driver that needs to improve, Tommy Lindroth, because he's P8 at the moment. He's got traffic ahead of him. I think it's the Jeffrey Nunberg car that I can see there. Jeffrey Nunberg, another driver that needs to improve to get into that Super Bowl shootout this afternoon. Tommy taking a look at the inside there. Jeffrey Nunberg just ahead of him. This is qualifying, and it's going to set the grid for the Finale Mondiale race, the world final race, barring the Super Bowl to come this afternoon for the drivers who will be looking for that P1 position. Tommy Lindroth, you can see, is desperate to get past Jeffrey Nunberg. He does that now, and he breaks us into the final turn, and can't help but feel that, unfortunately for Tommy, he's not going to be able to go again because the clock has counted down to 0. And he crosses the timing line now. Is it going to be enough? I don't think it is, if I'm honest with you. Tommy Lindroth then breaks the timing beam, and he doesn't improve. He is the first of the losers in terms of Super Bowl, Nico.
Yeah, well, loser is a big word if you are on P7, but obviously, yes, he would have liked to do that. 1:55.20 is Paolo Scudieri, was Paolo Scudieri until just now, and he vaults it himself up into P3. So Stefano Guy will be happy because his driver certainly made it up into the Super Bowl session. At the gun, Kirk Berwald currently P6, but he is showing purple after 2 sectors, so he's trying to get that insurance lap time in Henrik Kamstrup, still at P7. And I rather don't think, with the exception of maybe Lisa Clark, I don't see any one of the drivers beneath that red line going and challenging.
Here comes Kirk Berwald as he's trying to, he's in the Super Bowl at the moment. Does he improve? Yes, he does, by 3 places, Nico. So he goes up to P3, so that was a good final lap from Kirk Berwald. He is now comfortably into Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stefano Marazzi, who we talked about, is one of the candidates maybe for something. He is on that precarious P6, but I don't see anybody challenging who is behind him. Now, Martinez Richter going very quick, and he might take P1 away from Motohiko Isozaki, but as we established,
it's academic.
It's almost academic. I don't think there is any advantage. You don't get any points, certainly, for pole position here, and certainly no points for pole position here in this initial qualifying session. So he will cross the timing line, and that will make him P1 or P2. Is still P2. So that is the final car coming across the line. That means we have the position set from P7 down onwards, which is Henrik Kamstrup, Tommy Lindroth, Bruce Cleveland, Jeffrey Nunberg, Roger Montefiore, and Pino Frascaro. But the first 6 positions, they will be decided. And this man will certainly be one of those to watch.
He's on a rich vein of form. Motohiko Isozaki, doubtless his confidence elated following his victory. And look how happy Paolo Scudieri is. Who is through to Super Bowl. He has qualified for Super Bowl by dint of being P4. Motohiko Isozaki, the Corners Motorshiba driver, removes the crash helmet, hands device, and fireproof balaclava. And well done, Motohiko. Great job done. You're through to Super Bowl, and you are the fastest in that qualifying session of 22 drivers that took to the 5.2 kilometer track. And I'm sure in just moments from now we will hear from Motohiko Isozaki. So from his point of view, the first job he's done of today's tasks. And the tasks are to get into Super Bowl and then, of course, to take the pole. Let's hear from Motohiko now. He's with Ludovica.
Congratulations, Motohiko. You are a champion and the poleman for this morning. What are your feelings?
Now? Yeah, yesterday I took a champions. Today's my feeling is clear and fresh feeling. Just attack for team. Only this one. So P1. But really, everybody at the same time is everybody together. Really interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, thank you.
Confirmation of those that are going through to the Super Bowl shootout. Motohiko Isozaki, Martinez Richter, Kirk Berwald, Paolo Scudieri, Josef Schumacher, and Stefano Marazzi. Those are the drivers through to Super Bowl that we could see there. And Motohiko Isozaki, there he is, beaming from ear to ear, and he's just such an emotional man. And you know, he sealed the championship, and now he is top of the class when it comes to qualifying for today as well. Pretty happy about that. So let's take a look at the cars that are through. Stefano Marazzi then showed us his prowess yesterday for Rosso Corse. He is in Superpole, he's P6. There's the car of Josef Schumacher. Now it's Paolo Scudieri, Samoka. He's pretty happy. We saw him in the car. When he knew he was through to Superpole, Nico, the information came to him on the radio from Stefano Gaini. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just, you know, that reaction alone validates to have this extra day with the qualifying session. It just gives the drivers that extra bit, the extra ability and option to prove themselves. And one driver who proved himself in that session is Kirk Berwald. He took P3 and he is through to the Superpole as well.
Yes.
He will have an appointment, you understand?
Yes, I just think that they will look at that incident where Tommy Lindroth was trying to get by him, I think. Maybe.
Possibly, yeah. They'll get.
Was it Tommy Lindroth?
Or was I think it was Motohiko at some point. Not that it made any difference at the end of the session, and but certainly they will have a talk to him about that. There, we just saw Martinus Richter, who put it onto P2 in this session, and there is our champion in Europe, champion of this morning session, and he will be one of the odds-on favorite to take pole position, and at this stage also one of the odds-on favorite for the win tomorrow, potentially.
You're right. So our first qualifying session done and dusted. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back with more qualifying action during the course of this morning, and then Super Poles to come this afternoon. From Nico and I, thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.
In caso di rottura, per cui alettori, braccetti, tutto quello che può essere sostituito è disponibile in questo, sottolineo, prezioso catalogo di ricambi che è disponibile. Gestito, utilizzato in pista e soprattutto ripristinato in caso di, diciamo, di inconveniente. Questo è quello